Hi, welcome to the Personal Security Awareness section. While most of our training and education content is geared towards security topics for organizations, we want to also provide suggestions for how individuals can be safe on the internet. Security products and technologies provide protection, but as individual computer users, we can learn to use safe behaviors as well. We'll go over a handful of topics here, such as passwords, how to recognize a phishing attack, importance of backups, and more. By learning what actions you can take as an individual user, you can avoid common traps and reduce your risks online. So let's start with passwords. The original idea of passwords is to allow access to a system or an application based on something only you would know. You choose your password, and you want to log in, the system will ask you for your password. You type it in, and it will grant you access. So it's all about something you know. Other people wouldn't know it, so they wouldn't get access. Now, this might be fine if you only access one system ever. But today, we have to access many systems and many websites and many applications and operating systems on different computers, and they all want a password. And this can be daunting. So many passwords. So an understandable response that a lot of people take is to have only one password, and they use the same password for everything. Makes it simple to only have one thing to remember. However, this isn't good. If the bad guys break into any of these systems that you have an account on, and they can get your password from that system, then they have your password on all the other systems you use as well. So the first recommendation we're going to make is that you use different passwords for each system and website that you log into. That way, if the bad guys break into one of those systems, they'll only have the password for that one system. All the remaining systems will still be inaccessible to them. Now I know what you're going to say, I can't remember all these passwords, and that's understandable. Fortunately, there are apps called password managers that will save the passwords for you and securely let you retrieve them when you need them. We're not going to recommend a specific password manager because everyone's needs are different, but ask around, do some research, and find one that works for you. Just one suggestion though, be careful where the password manager stores your passwords. If it's in the cloud or any off-device storage, then any attack on that storage will possibly give the bad guys all your passwords. So we have different passwords for each system, and that will help keep you more secure. But you also need to change them on a regular basis. Your employer may enforce this on some of the systems where you work, and that's a good thing. I know it's a pain, but any breach, any compromise of your credentials will only lead to a temporary vulnerability. Again, a password manager will help here. And this brings us to two-factor authentication. Recently, many vendors have been deploying two-factor authentication. And two-factor authentication is where the system requires two elements to allow access. In most cases, this consists of something you know, like a password, along with something you have. We're all used to the something you know part. It's the something you have piece that's new. The something you have can take different forms. The most classic form is a physical token that has a display that shows a number that changes regularly. When those are used, you look at the display and enter whatever it says on the login prompt along with your password. The hardware token is synchronized with the system that you're logging into. By using this, even if your password is compromised, an attacker won't be successful without the hardware token. And because it's constantly changing, even if an attacker sees what you enter from the token, it's likely no longer valid. Another option is a software token. These often take the form of an app loaded on a smartphone. The way they work is the same as a hardware token, but you use your smartphone to call up the code. And finally, some systems simply issue a one-time code to allow you access. This code is transmitted to you in a secure way that's set up in advance. The recommendation here is that if a vendor has an option for two-factor authentication, generally it's going to be more secure than just the password alone. Now let's talk about email. Email accounts for over 50% of malware transmissions. A common form of these malware transmissions are in the form of attachments. If you get an email that has an attachment and the email is from someone you don't know, you probably shouldn't open the attachment. Let's back up and talk about how these emails got to you in the first place. No matter if it's a classic spam or phishing email, someone got your email address and it's been passed around amongst the spammers. While it's difficult to keep your email address completely secret, there are ways to make your email address seem less valuable to spammers. One of the more effective ways is to set your email client to not display downloaded graphic images. With spam email, the mere act of downloading these images tells the spammers that there's a person actually looking at them. This increases the value of your email address as a spam target. Most email clients that support this option allow you to download the images for legitimate email messages. That way they look well formatted and easier to read. And finally, if you get an email message that involves the movement of money, such as the payment of an invoice, even if it's from someone you know, use another form of communication to verify that the message is legitimate before taking action. Now, on to phishing. While this uses email as a transport, it deserves a section of its own. Phishing is where an email gets sent that is masquerading as coming from a sender that you know in an effort to get you to supply sensitive information such as passwords or other credentials, account numbers, credit card numbers, and so forth. These emails look like they legitimately come from the sources you trust, and it can be very hard to tell that they're fake. But there are clues that you can look for to see that they are in fact fake. Let's take a look at some of those clues now. Okay, here's an email that looks like it came from Facebook. Let's look at a few things to see if this is a phishing email or it's a legitimate email. First thing to look at is whether or not it's being sent by Facebook itself. So we look at the sender, and it says something here that looks a little funny. If this person really is a project manager at Facebook, I guess that could happen. I don't think he's going to be sending me notification emails personally. But let's take a look at the email address underneath this. So on my email browser, I just click on this, and it shows me an email address right here. And no, that's not at Facebook. That's at some other domain, and so it's not Facebook. Okay, so that's clue number one, that this is not legitimate. Let's take a look at some other areas here. Now, here's some links. Here's one that says that I have two notifications. And if I put my mouse over that and I hover it, I don't click on it, I just hover over it, my email reader will pop up with what that link actually is, where that link is going to go to. Notice that it doesn't say Facebook.com. It says something else other than Facebook. So that's a clue. Clue number two, that this is a phishing email. Now there's a couple buttons here, and my hunch is that if I hover over those, I'll get, yep, sure enough, this is not Facebook, and neither is this one. Okay, there's an unsubscribe button here. If I click on that, if I just hover over it, I mean, where does that go? That goes to someplace other than Facebook. So this is a phishing email. This is not legitimate. This is not real. Okay, so let's take a look at another one that might be a little difficult to determine whether or not it is real. This one says it's from Amazon.com, and it's telling me that I've canceled an order. Now, I didn't place an order from Amazon around this date, so I'm a little curious. So again, let's take a look at the sender, and this time it does say something about Amazon.com. Okay, maybe they just have made a mistake here. But let's take a look. There's a lot of links on this page. Let's take a look at this link. Nope, that is not Amazon.com. Okay, so that is a huge clue that this is a phishing email. So they want to get me excited and concerned that they've made a mistake on an order and get me to click things. All right, but I'm not going to do that, because I see here that, in fact, if I do click on that, it would take me not to Amazon.com, but to someplace I've never heard of, and I don't want to go there. Okay, and then down at the bottom here, let's take a look at this. Now it says http://www.amazon.com, but if I put my mouse and hover over that link, does it say Amazon? Nope, it does not. It says something else. If I click on that, it won't take me to Amazon.com. It'll take me someplace else I don't want to go. So this is another phishing email. Another clue on this particular one is that the writing isn't quite right. It says, like, for your reference, here's a summary of your order, and below, right next to it, just says you just canceled your order. Well, that's not really a summary of the order. It's just telling me again that the order has been canceled. And there might be a spelling mistake or two on this page as well. And those are also clues that this is phishing. So there you have it. There's a couple examples of identifying phishing emails with your email reader. In general, it's not a good idea to click links that are in email messages when they come from people you don't directly know, or on emails that are unsolicited, emails that you're not expecting to come in. For example, if you get an email that appears to come from your bank, and that email says that there's a problem with your account and you need to log into the website to correct the problem, and there's a link that will take you directly to the website, don't click on that link. Open a browser manually and go to that website directly. Log in and see what's happening. You should always be able to just go to the website directly. Most phishing attacks are sent to a wide audience. Hundreds of thousands or millions of email messages get sent, and they're all the same. There's a special form of a phishing attack, however, that is more directed at specific individuals or companies. These are called spear phishing attacks. If an attacker is interested in breaking into a particular company or other organization, they might send specially crafted emails only to email addresses inside that company. The emails look like they come from either sources internal to that organization or from a vendor that the organization does business with. The same recommendations apply to these. Check out the links if there are any. Look for spelling errors and grammar errors, things like that. And to be safe, access any external websites or internal systems directly instead of clicking on links in an email. Another variation of phishing is what's known as a watering hole attack. This is where an attacker will hang out at internet forums or other external places that employees of the intended victims utilize. While there, they'll attempt to trick employees of the company into unsafe actions which can result in the installation of malware on their computers. So be cautious of anyone asking you to reveal sensitive information or to click on links in forum messages. Now here's a topic we all know about but don't want to think about. It's backups. Hopefully everyone knows that to protect your data, it should be backed up regularly. If something happens, like a ransomware attack, having recent backups available will allow you to simply restore from those backups without having to pay the ransom. We're not going to recommend any particular backup solution, but make sure that whatever you choose will let you restore from any particular point in time in the past. Also, be careful where your backups are stored. Some ransomware attacks will also encrypt a backup drive if it's physically attached to the computer 100% of the time. While not necessarily a security topic, it might also be a good time to think about how to archive very important files and documents, such as photographs, for future generations. Many cyber attacks leverage unpatched vulnerabilities in common operating systems and applications. Because of this, it's important to stay up to date with software updates. This includes not only the operating system, but also all the applications that you've installed on your computer. They may have updates as well. The recommendation here is to set your computer to install critical updates on a regular basis and to check applications for updates as well. This also means that if a vendor stops supporting a particular version of their operating system and no more software updates will be available, you should upgrade to a newer, supported operating system version as soon as possible. Do not continue to use unsupported operating systems. There have been many high-profile attacks of older, unsupported operating systems such as Microsoft Windows XP, and unfortunately, there are many computers out there that are still running them. And finally, I'd like to recommend that you install a client anti-malware security endpoint product like Fortinet's FortiClient. FortiClient is available for free at forticlient.com. The free version supports antivirus, VPN endpoint, and web filtering to keep you safe in real time. It gets continual, regular updates from FortiGuard Labs to keep you up to date with the latest threats that are out there. FortiClient is available for Windows 7 or higher, macOS 10.8 or higher, iOS, Android, Windows Phone, and Chromebook. The free version provides valuable security protection, but when FortiClient is used as part of a larger Fortinet Security Fabric environment, it becomes even more powerful. Again, FortiClient can be downloaded from forticlient.com and used for free. So now we've seen some ways to be safer on the internet. We've looked at email practices, a few tips on how to spot phishing emails, the importance of backups and keeping your computer systems up to date, and even put in a plug for FortiClient. This wasn't meant to be an exhaustive list of safety tips, but we hope you found some new things and reminded you of some things you may already know. Thanks for your time. Be safe out there.